Hi everybody, my name is Shannon and welcome to my channel, Another Yarn. Thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate it. If this is your first time, welcome in. This is a channel about yarn, knitting, crocheting, and all the wonderful fun things involved with those tools, aspects, antics, etc. And if you're returning, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. If everyone would go ahead and like and subscribe, that would really help me out a great deal. YouTube says it's oh so important, right? You got to play by algorithm rules. So I haven't worked on Boggy Creek blankets in a while. It's Sunday. I was doing a lot of giving with the American Starfish Organization, making washcloths and setting those off. And that's over. That finished on the 11th of November, Veterans Day. And, I've been making other things. Been quite busy. But, I got kind of like just all kinds of, I wanted to make something. I was just itching to make something else and working on a blanket. And, I haven't done a virus shawl. And I know you can do a granny square virus shawl mix when granny meets virus. Fiber Spider has a tutorial, multi-part tutorial out for it. And I did follow that. I started off working on this, right? I started off with a granny square. I was looking at somebody else's. I can't remember who it is. I can't find it again. I don't know what I did with it, but it was a shawl. And I had to do things to make it into a square. So I just started with the granny square, and I would give credit, I just don't know. But I started with that granny square, and then I did a couple of the rounds of the virus part and everything, all that big bubbly and everything. And then I couldn't find the pattern I was following, or, partially following. So I found fiber spiders, and I was right at a certain point where I went, okay, I got the same stitch count. Let's go from there, which is what I did. And I like the colors. This is using Joann's Big Twist Value Yarn. And let's see, if you've not seen it before, there it is. And I like this as a value yarn. The price, it's soft, it's got great yardage. It's 380 yards, 6 ounces, which is 347 meters, 170 grams, and 100% acrylic. And I believe it is $4.49 regular price, but Joann's has a lot of specials. I have averaged about $2.75 a ball because of all the different sales that I've hit, right? Sales and coupons and everything else. And what I do like about this, if you look, it tells you how much yarn you're going to need to make different projects. And different yarns do that, and I really appreciate it. But you are getting a lot of value as far as that's concerned. 4 full things to make a decent sized blanket. Yay, all there, all in. So for Camp Boggy Creek, this is in Eustis, Florida, and it's for sick children that, have all sorts of disorders and don't normally get to go to camp, right? Because their illnesses preclude them from it. Well, in this one, Paul Newman and General Schwarzkopf were the ones that founded this camp in Eustis, Florida. Well, they have staff and everything else on hand. So the kids can come along and just be kids. And the camp is run year round. So we're doing blankets, and the goal and idea is when a child goes into their cabin, I don't know what their cabins look like, but when the child goes into their cabin, there's a blanket on their bed, and they get to take the blanket home with them to remind them of their time at camp when they got to be just a kid. They didn't have to be their illness. They didn't have to be any of the other stuff. They got to be a kid, and that is it. And this is a memento that we get to share in the love and give and everything. And then the child gets to take it home. So their size requirements. You can knit the blanket, you can crochet the blanket, you can do however you want to do the blanket, but the size requirements are 35 to 40 inches wide and 40 to 50 inches long. So if you're doing a square, 40 by 40 is your sweet spot. That's it. If it's bigger than that, they'll still be able to use it, but they won't be able to take it home. So if you want the child to be able to take your creation, your work of love and generosity home with them, stick to those parameters, right? And I'm using acrylic yarn because it's easy care, easy wash as far as that's concerned. Bright, wonderful, beautiful colors. I've got some really nice cotton acrylics that would really work well too. This is just, I have so many of these brights and I was having so much fun. I did squares earlier in the year, but I'm doing this blanket and I'm kind of excited about it, I'm not gonna lie. So this to the red and the maroon right here is what I was talking about before I started following the Fiber Spiders tutorial. And then I was able to get into that first yellow, which is right here. Yeah, I don't have my ends tied in yet. I will weave in my ends. And I got to that first yellow right here doing the virus, and it was great. And then I decided, all right, well, I'm continuing to follow the tutorial. I believe it was 5 parts. Yes, I did watch them. You got into the granny square. Well, we all know how to do granny squares. That's easy, right? You know, the little 3 double crochet clusters. Well, I put them in all the stitches that it was called for, and to me, it seemed like it was too much. I don't know if it was my gauge, it just seemed like there was too many stitches. So I ignored it because I was following a tutorial. I ignored that, yeah, and I continued on. Guess what? I kind of have too many stitches. Yeah. So you can kind of see it a little bit, you know, it looks like it's all ripply in there. And then you can also see what I did. Can you see this row right here? That one, that's triple crochet. You know, I got double, 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 triple, double, triple, right? So that's what I did. But I did that to elongate the stitch and try to alleviate some of that excess fabric because it was too much. You could manhandle it and get it to flatten out, but that's not right. And I didn't like that. So I did elongate the stitches as far as that's concerned. But yeah, you can see in the corners a little rippling. It's okay. Putting back the virus on it and everything, the virus part, it lays fine. There's not a problem with that. So I'm obviously keeping it. I'm going with it. It's just a little characteristic. It doesn't affect it as far as it doesn't harm the blanket or anything along that line. But I will end up doing another one, and kind of now that I understand the mechanics of it, I'll reduce some of those stitches or figure out a way to make sure that it lays flat. It looks good the way that I intend it to look. And then I was also thinking, because this is a square and I have to get that 40 by 40. And I don't know how far I am. I don't. Okay, I have a tape measure. Look at my tape measure. Isn't it cute? I love it. Yeah, I have to watch my tape measures. I got a couple of them right here. I got the little lamb is somewhere else right now. No, not right there. Look at my little piggy, my little piggy, and then I'm just on it with those strings, and the little chicken rooster. Not really sure what they intended it to be. Love my little tape measures. So does my dog. More than one of them. Yes, they look like toys. They look like they should belong to them. All right, this is kind of a rough estimate. I'm close. I am doggone close. Yeah, this is roughly 37, 38 inches. I am really close. I'll measure it, not on my lap, draped over my lap, and see where I'm really at. And then I'll put on whatever rows I need to finish this off. I love the red going into the maroon. I think that is so pretty. And this one right here is sparkle. You can see that? Yeah, you can see that. So I got the big twist sparkle on that one. And the rest of them are just the plain colors and going into that orange. And I think the color palette is great. I'm really enjoying this. I've been doing a lot of knitting lately, a lot of knitting. So it was really fun to grab a crochet project and just, you know, yes, I was dealing with a tutorial, but you know, different parts. Once you've got that part of the tutorial, it's mindless, right? You know, if you've done the virus shawl and you've done multiple of them, you know it, you've got it memorized, it's mindless. If you've done granny squares and you know what's called the granny stitch, I just grew up, it was the three double crochet cluster. However you term it, you know It's easy. It's mindless. You've got this. So I enjoyed it. I really like the way this is going, and I'm going to make another one. It's going to happen. I'm going to make another one. And I think now that I understand the flow and the mechanics of it, I want to make, instead of doing square, because then I have to get that sweet spot of that 40 by 40. Yeah. And that's pressure. I'm just not going to lie. That's a little pressure there. That's just a little bit. But if I do it in oblong, maybe it won't be so difficult to hit, you know, somewhere between 35 and 40 inches wide and 40 to 50 inches long. So I think I'm going to go that route. I'm going to figure out how to do that instead of doing the center granny square, you know, like this and everything, and just square. Make it to where you have clusters on both sides. You know, you do a chain and then your corners and everything, and then, you know, you've got clusters up here and clusters down there, and then going around that way and starting with that rectangle granny square. Yeah, a rectangle granny square. You know what I mean. It makes sense. Doing that and then start surrounding it with that virus pattern and then more of the granny and everything, and counterbalance it as far as that goes. I think that will be a lot of fun. And I think I'll be able to really hit that sweet spot better, and it'll be a lot more comfortable for me. And then I can just crochet. I can just make the stuff and not stress over, is it too big? Because I don't want it to be too big, because I want the kids to be able to take it home, and I don't want it to be too small. Same reason. I want them to be able to enjoy the love that I've put into this, and I want it to put a smile on their face with all the bright colors and just the different patterns. I like different patterns, and you know, it does work. So this excess part right here, where I've got this granny part, this sparkly one, and extra stitches on it and being a little ripply, that just adds to it. It does. It just adds to the uniqueness that's just something that's a little special. So I'm enjoying it. I'm having a blast. And, you know, I mean, I do both knitting and crocheting. I tend to, once I start knitting, I just grab it and I go and don't even think about it. But I like crocheting too. And this has been so much fun to make this. Have you done the granny square, the virus pattern? This is my first time. I've done a lot of crochet patterns, shawls, things like that, all sorts of things. And I've definitely done granny squares. Oh my gosh, all sorts of various variations from granny squares. But the virus shawl itself, I definitely understood how to do it, but hadn't actually made one. So I thought I would take this opportunity to do this, and I'm having a blast. Oh, I used an H crochet hook for this. I think that for me personally, I think it created a nice fabric. It's not too stiff and everything, and it's not too loose and drapey that, you know, when you pick it up, all your stitches are too stretched out because, you know, the hook's too big. So I like this, the way that this works. I know growing up, I loved using a G hook. That was one of my favorites to include working with worsted yarn. And it made things a lot stiffer, which was fine depending on what I was making. I really wanted that. But I like the drapey with this, the little more comfortable with this, being able to just enjoy that. Oh, one of the other things I wanted to show you, I gotta fold it in half, and you'll be able to see, because I did this, my dogs got around. All right, can you see that? That is folded in half, and you can see right here how that kind of goes up a little bit more. And that's where I was talking about, where you've got the extra bulk. So that shouldn't go up at all. That should be flat, even across, and you can see that bump going up. That's the extra stitches that I was talking about. And I knew it, and you can see how I've kind of adjusted to go back down when I got to this, right? And I knew it at the time, but it's fine. But yeah, that's what I meant by, you can tell it's there's a little extra stitches. If it bowls in on itself, you don't have enough stitches. If it ruffles and flutters, you have too many stitches. It's a good way to look at it. So that's what I meant by, I had too many. It ruffles a bit. I did some course corrections. It's fine. It's fine. I like it. It's really pretty, and it is soft. It's a nice value acrylic that can be just used and abused and loved and cherished, and isn't that what we want? We want all of our handmaids to be that. And I can just imagine, you know, the kids coming into their cabin. I forget how many maybe about 10 per cabin, I'm not positive. But you know, as they come in and they decide what bed they choose because of the blanket that's draped on the bed. And you know, I just in my mind, I can see a child going, "Oh, I want that one," you know. And I would hope that there's a child on every single one that says, "I want that one," you know. It just warms my heart. It does. I mean, isn't that why we make things and give them away? Is just that knowing that we put love in it and blessed somebody else, and hoping that they can feel that and it makes their day just a little bit brighter, whether it's making things for Camp Boggy Creek or making things for any other charity, whether it's a local charity that no one else knows about. It doesn't matter. You know in your heart that you did something and you did it for that reason, just to love somebody else and to give them a blessing. I'll go ahead and put down in my description below the address to send your blankets to if you are doing that. And the deadline, they're going to go to Nancy from She's Got Yarn Too. She's collecting them and taking them down to the camp, so that makes it a lot easier to go ahead and send them to her. And I will include her information. And if you're not already watching some of her stuff, check it out. She's pretty amazing. All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. You guys have a great day, night, evening, whatever it happens to be, and I will talk to you again later. Bye-bye.